Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are listening today and watching. We are streaming to LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, wow.
So what's up? Now,
Oh
most of the
my God.
people, Grace, are going to be hanging with us on LinkedIn, right? But we love our repeat and watching afterwards. And I'm really excited for this Friday because yes, it's Earth Day, so we celebrate our planet and all of the great fruitful things that we get from our planet. And we're going to talk about being a freaking lady boss, which is what Grace Gong is. We have a really fun conversation today to talk about her story, to talk about what the journey has been like being a part of the LinkedIn accelerator, being now a LinkedIn top voice in finance. What I love about Grace is when we chatted, she's just super humble and like, I don't know how this is all happening, but I'm really excited. And it happens through a lot of hard work, right, Grace? So thank you for being here today. We already see some people coming here. Hey, Mike. Hey, AJ. Looks like they're coming and watching you from your profile, I think. So yay.
Hey.
Our streaming is working, Grace.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my God. Hi, Mike. Mike is from my cohort, and then AJ is
Yay.
close friends with people from my cohort. And
Yay.
hi both.
Well, perfect. Well, what's up, guys? Great to have you hanging with us. Grace, first, introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about you, your story. You have such a really fun kind of way into this entire creator world. So talk about yourself a bit.
Yeah, totally. First of all, hi, friends, who I have never met, but hi. So I am Grace. So I was originally from China, came to the US for my undergrad, and I always wanted to create a company, but I didn't know how. So when I moved to San Francisco, I was luckily met a lot of entrepreneurs, and I started chatting about, their experience on how to start companies, and I started to put together a book because back in time, the most trending book was Zero to One. I absolutely loved the book. It was super inspirational. However, I feel like there were no books that specifically about tools on like how to help yourself succeed as an entrepreneur, right? Like what website do you use? How do you hire people? How do you, do marketing? And how do you essentially put together a team with no resources? How do you bootstrap your way to getting funding? And how do you raise funding, right? So I decided to work on it with some great entrepreneurs on Forbes 30 to put together a book. And I interview a lot of people on how they started their companies. Then fast forward to today, I've published 2 books. The other one is where I interviewed 22 investors on the Forbes Midas list. So those are well-known investors who invest in Facebook, Salesforce, Apple, LinkedIn, many other great companies. During that experience, I actually got exposure to venture capital. I feel like it was a great way to help entrepreneur as well as like learning at the same time. So I joined a VC firm in Shanghai, and fast forward to today, I started my own business, Smart Venture Capital LLC, which is Smart Venture Media. So primarily is my podcast as well as other media products. So that's a TLDR of my story. And I started the podcast primarily because of when I was in college, I was an international student who, by the way, hi Jessica.
I
Jessica's
know. Hi,
a pleasure.
Jessica.
Um,
How fun.
so
Look, people from Nigeria, Bangladesh. How cool is that, Shannon?
yeah, oh my God,
Yeah.
I feel
We're
so
in front of
cool
the
right now.
world right now, Grace.
Yeah,
How
Earth
fun
Day
is
is
that?
yeah, seriously. Um, yeah, talking about the globe. Honestly, I feel like I created the podcast for people around the globe because I came from a different country. I want to know how to kind of like succeed in America, right? Like I didn't really have direct business connections when I started here. I created the podcast to help people who didn't have the direct connections to pick brains from these top tech leaders. So everybody, no matter where you're from, no matter what background you come from, you can all find your way to success. So that's like the goal of the podcast.
Okay, so look at this. Who's Sinead? I'm probably butchering your name, but from Ireland. How cool is that, Grace? Hi.
Hi.
So, okay, You have some pretty mega people on your Smart Venture podcast, Grace. You know, COO of Instagram, CMO of Deloitte. I mean, the list is huge. What the heck did you say to these people so
Um,
that they'd come on your podcast? Like, how did you work it?
yeah, like thank you. And like I feel like I'm super grateful for them to just give me their time to help me as well as my audience to um learn about, how to succeed in this country as well as in the world in general. I think honestly when like a lot of people ask me how to invite people to be on your show or like how do you do all of these. I think a lot of it were I started with just people I know. Like I started asking questions like just to like people around me. Honestly, I think everyone has something that they can offer, and then you can learn from essentially everybody. And I just started with people I know, to be completely frank, and then it like snowballed into many really awesome and successful people, and which I'm very grateful for. So if you're just starting out, if you're a student or you're just like a person, like you feel like you have no connection but you do have, maybe you're in school, you can essentially interview people who is on your entrepreneur club, student club, and then from there maybe they know someone, maybe the person that they know knows someone, so it can just really snowball into something really really big and meaningful. So I think like don't like underestimate who you have around you. So I think that's a message I really want to put out there, and start with where you can, because of course like it's probably impossible for someone to who just want to start anything from the beginning to get to the end result, but you have to start somewhere. So I think the message I want to send is to just start, and then don't underestimate yourself and your network.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that that's kind of the power of LinkedIn, right? Where I don't think, that idea of being 6 degrees of separation from any person. Like I think with LinkedIn and 800 million plus people on, like actually I'm probably a few connections away from Barack Obama. Like I don't even Ariana Huffington, like
Mm.
people that I really look up to, Oprah. I could probably look and I'm not that far away, right? And so there is such power in just connecting. But Grace, it comes with having strength and confidence, right?
Yeah,
Like
thank you. I think the confidence.
like you got to get past the imposter syndrome. Like, who am I? How did you do that?
Honestly, I actually never have like, well, I think that's wrong. So I think it comes with you doing the work, right? Like, so when you started interviewing people around you, and then it builds your confidence gradually. So I think, again, like, I think honestly, like I think one of the message I really want to convey is I think you can really learn from everyone. A lot of people I talk to that make a meaningful impact in me is not like the big names of the world. It is just like my friends or my peers that like I respect and that I feel like they're just really smart. And I just ask them what to do a lot of times. And because of like I feel like I've asked many questions to anyone. So at the time that when I'm interviewing someone, I was just like a fangirl for, I don't think I was like asking them something. I just think I was talking to a friend. Um, I think that's probably because of I've done it many, many times. I think just starting small really build up your confidence. And oh my God, hi. So Shelly is my literally from my high school. So anyway, so I was thinking this. So a little backstory was
Yeah.
honestly, I started in my maybe elementary school. I was in elementary school, we have like a, I wouldn't say podcast, but it's like a radio station or something. And I would just like chat with my friends who are also like we're both running the mini media station of our school.
Yeah.
So I think that also built up confidence. And Shelly was my from my high school, and then I started an English newspaper in my high school. It's like a student newspaper. It's like very, it's just like very, I guess entrepreneurial or like the amateurs of the world. So like like, you know, we're in high school in China, right? So I started
Yeah.
like an English newspaper. And so like those small things, I think it really leads to like just like it just really accumulated, and then it snowballed into something big. So I think the confidence is coming from how much small stuff you're doing every day that
Yeah.
like people don't see.
Yeah. And wanting to do it, having some love and passion for it, right? Because especially now that I heard that this is something that was sort of part of you as a kid, right?
Yeah.
You've kind of always had this want and desire to express. And so I feel like so often I'll speak for myself, you know, as a child, we kind of grow up and life gets harder, or people tell you you're not good enough, right? Or how are you going to do this? And you kind of go with the job that pays the money. And then all of a sudden, you're not writing the newspaper anymore. You're not doing that. You
Mhm.
kind of fall into what you think you should be and who you need to be. But it seems like, Grace, you've gracefully stayed true to some of those really deep desires for you, which is beautiful and creates a really authentic personal brand, right? It makes it really easy for you to do the work because it is work.
Yeah, thank you. I think passion plays a game as well as like I think the major thing why I wanted to do it, it's because of like I feel like there were so many people like myself, like um, you know, we want to achieve a certain level of success, and we really didn't like, you know, like when you hear about these talks with the top leaders, it typically come from another top leader interviewing a top leader. So the question they're focusing on are like unrelated to people like myself and like, you know, the
Yeah.
younger people who just start out, right? Like I want to create that content and for just like anyone who wants to learn and like make it matter to them. I think like a lot of the information I consumed, there were just it was so high level, and I feel like it's irrelevant, or it would not really make a huge difference in me or like in like people around me. And I just wanted to really just like create content for folks that are like, you know, the 80% or like the 90% people in the world who just like hustle and then like want to succeed. And yeah, I feel like those are just what drives me, because I feel like just doing it for myself, it's like really, you know, it's easy because I already kind of have the way to kind of chat with a lot of really successful people. But because of like the geographical location I am in Silicon Valley, it gives me so much access that I wanted to just brought it to the world. um when I created the podcast, honestly, I feel like why I think people could benefit from it is because of like imagine like in the past people are always saying like you are the closest your success level is like gonna be the same as like the five people
Yes.
surround you closely, right? Like,
Yeah.
but now I feel like you can surround yourself with anyone if you just keep consuming information that they created. You don't have to be just settled for physically being in the same room with someone. You can listen to a podcast, you can consume a newsletter, you can, you know, read something Ben Thompson wrote, or like listen to Mark and Jason. You're basically sync brain with these people, and these content are typically free for the listeners. And I would say why not? And just because of that's the equality we're looking for, the assets we're looking for, right? Like you
Yeah.
can just sync brain with anybody. And I feel like those are the beauty of content creation, as well as just like no matter if you're consuming content or you're um, creating content, you're just creating for the world. And then you can, quote unquote, I would say, surround yourself with people that you admire. And one day, I think because of the content you consume, you can just be as successful as them. You don't have to just limit yourself with people physically around you.
That is such a good point, you know. Um it's crazy because COVID, you know, the past
Mhm.
few years has sort of stuck us in a position where we couldn't be around people,
Mhm.
right, Grace? So to your point, it's like not just the five people around you, but like the five people you're listening to. And that is the power of podcasts and what you're consuming on your feed. All of these things, what are you reading? All of these things can actually level up your entire life, assuming you're around the people, right, that are inspirational, that are actually going to drive you to where you want to go. It's such a good point. I also want to say hi to Louise and Andrew and Jessica. Has already, we said hi to Sinolv. And Sinolv, I hope I said that. Surround yourself with people you admire. Absolutely. Amazing to see all these amazing people here today. So Grace, I want to talk a little bit about being a creator because, I'm a creator. Like, what the heck is that? We kind of talked about this when we caught up this week. The level of commitment and work that can go into creating, especially if you truly want to be a creator, like to have that title. So can you talk a little bit, Grace, about for you the creative process, what being in the accelerator, the LinkedIn accelerator, the first one, the first cohort, talk a little bit about that experience, what you learned, so that we can help inspire, we can help educate people on truly what creating is all about.
Yeah, totally. I have I just like I have so much gratitude for being in the first cohort of LinkedIn Creator Accelerator. My manager Jessica she is here. She's awesome. And honestly, I think creating content on any platform at the beginning is hard because think about it, like you will have zero audience besides that's your mom, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or just like basically the two people that are close to you. And like it's a struggle to get started because you feel like you're unheard. You are you are putting yourself out there, you're sharing your vulnerability. Sometimes you write like a 500 words essay and then no one will give a look, right? I think the creator process is extremely lonely at the beginning, and I feel like LinkedIn really make me feel like at home because the comments or like our program, everybody is extremely supportive, and then like they're, no matter how big a following they have, they make you feel like you are um equal to them. And like I feel like some of the people I have like a lot of respect for, I just like I heard about their work from many years ago and then they're in the same program. I personally felt extremely like inspiring as well as like just like empowered in a way. So first of all, I feel like the program is definitely amazing. If you get a chance, if they launch in America again, like I feel like definitely apply. And I think in terms of like creating online or creating in general, I think it's super important for everyday everyday person to create, because this is why, right? Like think about it. In the past, when you're finding a job, you're just going on LinkedIn to typing your resume, or like sending your resume to a company. But now I think the conversation or like the situation just flipped, because you can create on your profile and then your profile could convey a message of who you are, and then the content you're creating, you never really know who's reading, right? It could be your a future partner for your company or investor or employee, like anyone could be reading it. And I feel like it's sort of necessary for people to share their thoughts, put in the energy, and like putting out things that you think about to the world, and start the conversation that you wish you could join, right? I feel like those are just like extremely important in terms of how you actually create. I think I think there's two pieces of it. I think being a creator, I think people have a misconception is you have to be creative to be a creator, but I think it's almost the opposite. You have to be really, really, you and I chat about this earlier this week. Like it have to be really, really just like you stick with a schedule, being consistent, consuming knowledge, setting up schedules on, when do you research a person, when do you invite them, when do you, what do you say to them, and then like what do you kind of like how do you put together this program, right? Like I think like including this podcast, I feel like you've done such a great job to putting it together and promoting it. Like I have so much respect. I feel like people don't see the behind the scene of how much work goes into it. So number one is like
Yeah.
creating is not like does not means you are creative. It means like you're sticking with, a schedule and being really like being continuously putting effort out there. And then number two is I think being a creator, one part of me is I, before I created my own podcast, I enjoy podcasts. I feel like, oh, wow, like it's really cool to listen to a conversation about a topic. But when I started my podcast, I started religiously following every other podcast. I think consuming knowledge and changing your content diet defines who you are. In the past, I did not realize like what I consume every day. I feel like back in time compared to what I quote unquote eat for my brain is
Yeah.
very I wouldn't
Yeah.
say trashy. It was really like just simple, really entertaining stuff. But now it's like because of I have to create, so it forces me to consume more dense knowledge, reading that research paper, or just like being more conscious about what I consume.
Oh, so many good thoughts. Yes. I mean, a big one, right? That being a creator doesn't mean that you're
Mhm,
creative. And what I'm hearing you talk a lot about is intention, intentionality, accountability, discipline. Um, it's not about being flashy or sexy. It's about what do I have something to say about? And I talk a lot about this when I do personal branding sessions and we're working with our clients, Grace. It's like 70% of the time you want to be bringing thought leadership and your
mhm,
expertise. And that's not just you talking about you, right, Grace? It's like
mhm,
you have expertise in finance and VC. And so you're not talking all about it, but you're interviewing people with that expertise, which lends its expertise to your expertise, right? And
mhm,
brings in this industry perspective. And I think that helps give credibility and validity into your brand, your personal brand, which is crucial in today's world where everybody says that there's something. And we don't really know. There's a lot of fact checking that isn't done because of all the
mhm.
things on the internet, you know.
Yeah.
And I do love this idea. And I talked a little bit about this past week, Grace, of like the days of influencer are kind of out. Now it's the days
Yeah.
of being a creator. But being a creator comes with, I think, real expertise versus the influencer. Not that influencers aren't great, but it's not just about how me looking pretty
Mhm,
and carrying a bag, right? That's a piece of
mhm,
sponsored content. Like I think we're really evolving from that into this new stage of real human conversation, real authenticity, real rawness, where it's actually, I want to know who you are and fact check that you are who you are.
mhm,
That like that's ultimately the creator economy too, right? So
mhm,
such good points, Grace. I think it's really, really important. I hope that the people that are, listening, you can feel inspired, but also, I don't know how you feel about this. I feel a responsibility. I feel like when I'm creating content for myself on behalf of clients, it's our responsibility to make sure
mhm,
that we are furthering humanity, heart
mhm.
conscious, good, helpful, educational information, fact checking, and holding that with a real level of responsibility, so that we can better our world on this Earth Day.
On Earth. Yeah, totally. Um, yeah, for sure. I totally feel that I wouldn't say it's responsibility, but it definitely holds me accountable as I think there is I do think like at the beginning, sometimes when you chat with a friend or something, you can just provide your own opinion, but now the opinion should be backed with facts. Many so in the past, I feel like I could have just like, I could just tell you my opinion about the board apes, but like now I would do a full on research on, why people created this, who is holding it, and then like where the trend is going. And then but I think in the end of the day, the benefit of being a creator is because of this responsibility. I think at the beginning it's similar to, like it's just like when you're putting yourself out there, you care about what people think of you. So it forces you to create better content and then doing better due diligence. And I feel like because of the responsibility, it forces me to um, consume better information, as
Yeah.
well as in the past I could just talk about something. Maybe after I read an article or I listen to something, I can remember 20% of things. So, and then the 80% is my personal opinion. But now, because of you want to get the fact right, so you reread the article and then you take notes, and it kind of forces me to spend more time digesting the information. So maybe I memorize like 60% of it or 80% of it instead of like the 20% of it. So I think, although like I feel that it's a responsibility, it could be stressful. However, it also just gives me like the pressure to like actually learning something, actually becoming an
Yeah.
expert.
Yeah.
And I honestly, when you mentioned about the um imposter syndrome, I do think, I mean, although I at the beginning I said, oh, I don't have that, but like I think it's because of like I've been constantly trying to force myself to study. Now
Yeah.
I could still feel it, but but honestly, because I just do more than like I try to, I guess, forcing myself to consume more information to become a better um knowledge person in the space. So I
Yeah.
feel like it forces me to study. And then because of I'm every day I'm trying my best to creating a schedule for myself to consuming these knowledge and then putting out content. Um it I think it like helps you with the anxiety it comes with imposter syndrome and everything else. So
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing when you feel the responsibility.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that. And so one thing I was just thinking about, so what are you up to studying right now, right? When you're kind of researching, I know we talked a little bit about just the whole crypto creator coin space. State and authorities launching our coin on May 12th, and
Yay.
yay. It's on Rally. And so we're completely new in navigating what it is like to have a currency
Mm.
now and creating a digital economy for our creations and our community. So, Grace, what are you diving into? What's your take as you've been diving more into crypto? I'd love to hear your perspective.
Um, this morning I was literally studying Moonbird. So because in an hour, me and two other quote unquote top boys on LinkedIn, we're having a audio session. So we're having an audio session every Friday, 9:30 PST. So I'm actually preparing for our discussion. So I was studying Moonboard, I was studying these other topics like Coinbase NFT platform. And so those are like what I've been looking at. And I was literally listening to Kevin Rose's podcast with Bankless. Kevin was on my show like the end of last year, I believe, and it was so inspiring to see a serial entrepreneur. Uh, you know, Kevin was a guy who started Dig, and before that, he was just like doing a lot of really cool projects. And seeing someone being so creative and so entrepreneurial and so disciplined, like after many years he's still pumping out the best design projects. It's amazing. And seeing the success of Moonbird, it just really inspired me. I was literally DMing my friends who own some Moonboard. I'm like Moonbird, I'm like, are you guys buying one? I mean, are you guys selling one or something? But it's so expensive. But anyway, so that's what I was up to. But
Yeah.
yeah, like tell us more about your coin too.
I mean, you know, it's on Rally. It is a state and authority coin. We are linking it into a Discord community. So, Grace, I know you have a Discord community as well. We're not
Oh my
yet
God.
venturing into the NFT part of it, but that is part of our path to also have NFTs. And for us, it's about, we've want a way in which to communicate with our community, take them off some of the social platforms where there are some greater capabilities to communicate, both audio, Zoom,
Mhm.
etc., through Discord, and an exchange of value. I think that's what's really fascinating about the creator coin, where together, Grace, you're investing in me, you're holding coin, and I'm investing back into you. We together are exchanging knowledge and lifting. And as that exchange happens, as more people hold the coin, together we're lifting, right? And there's a monetary value that is part of that, but the goal is really about this exchange of knowledge and the real ownership of that knowledge and
Mhm.
creation. I know it seems sort of out of left field for so many people. And hey, Patty, I see you there. So good to see Patty. She's incredible. I think we don't know all the answers, Grace, but I know that the world is going this way.
Mhm.
Right? Like this isn't like out this like I was talking to some friends last night, Grace, and they're my more MBA community, and they're like, I don't know about this crypto thing. I was like, dude, like we can't still be
Yeah.
having that conversation, right? Like,
Mhm.
so the coin piece of the creator coin is just a different opportunity, I think, for individuals like yourself, really to create a greater community, and to have that exchange of value owned by us,
Mm.
not another platform, really. Although Rally is part of it.
Yeah, totally. I think one of the really cool thing about like NFT or NFT community in general is I think it is just like really important to find a way to engage with your community and like give back. And um why I find the Moonbird project was really interesting was because of their roadmap is pretty it sounds really interesting. Like I believe like Calvin mentioned that he was having a conversation with the CEO of Shopify, and then they're doing something with the MoMA Museum, I believe. I feel like having the utility behind it, having a roadmap, engaging with your community. I believe each of their community member can get 250 stickers, a really solid like $200 hoodie, and like I
Yeah.
think the hoodie and stickers are not necessarily the things that drive me to spend thousands of dollars on something, but the engagement of having the access to a group is extremely powerful. Because I went to FTLA, my friend who is a holder slash proof holder, like so he holds like basically I wouldn't say everything, but he holds a lot of like really the famous project, and then he would go to the conference and without knowing anybody, but he could just DM someone on Discord group and then meet up with another proof holder. We went to meet up with the other proof holder. So basically, although you know no one when you went in, but like you instantly connect with someone, the instant bond, and then people have something to talk about. You meet people from different spaces. You feel like you gain like thousands of best friends by being in this group. I feel like those are just something that I find extremely exciting.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. Like that's such a great example too, where it's like the new kind of Facebook, except now this utility associated with it. It's like Josh, Josh and I, he's really helpful in explaining things to me, Grace. And he's like, we have these workshops, right? When they're
Mhm.
$500, you pay $500 to come to a workshop with us. And that's it. That's it. That moment in time happens, that exchange happens in that moment where you're getting knowledge. But we can take that $500 and put it into a coin and put the potential of that $500 to maybe not only grow in value, but for you to
Mhm.
continue to get value through it. That's the difference between like cryptocurrency and coin and just the exchange of a dollar. It's one time, right?
Mhm.
And I think like that to me is like really fucking cool. And I'm gonna use a curse word, so sorry. Like I think that's cool. Like I think it's cool Gary Vee is going to be opening up a restaurant and it's going to be the hottest new restaurant in New York, some sushi restaurant. And you have to hold certain NFT to get a
Be
reservation
friend.
for that, right, Grace? Yeah. So, like, that's a real practical example, right? Everybody, like, there's the whole gamut. Like, there's all the creator shit that's going
Mhm.
on, but then there's like the real utility, in real estate. Why do we need title companies? It won't, like, there's little real jobs that are going to be wiped out because you're not going to need that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I completely agree with you on like, it's kind of it's just like really interesting that like technology could empower us to do so many things. And I feel like think back if I think it's just like such a great way to um just creating like an experience for the people who
Yeah.
care about something.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, like there's just so many projects that are probably doesn't have any utility behind it or like a solid roadmap,
Yeah.
a lot of really just like amateur projects I guess, but like of course nothing is like perfect, but I think we're getting there and there's like so many ways that we could leverage the technology to change it for the better.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey Patty, good to see you. And amazing to have the feedback too, and to be able to talk a little bit about that whole area, Grace. I hope that you continue to learn and spread that knowledge. I think it's really critical that we continue to educate and learn the masses, especially females too. I'm gonna
Totally.
say it because like it is, we don't want to be behind. In fact, we want to be ahead in this area. We want to be investing. One thing that my best friend told me to do, and I was like, I'm doing it. I went on Coinbase. I am putting $20 every week into ETH and $20 into a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Automatically, every week, it leaves that easy. Download Coinbase. What is that amount? $5, whatever, and put some investment, right? And just let's see what's happening and get your little piece in it. Like when the stock market, we invented the stock market, people. We
Yeah,
did that.
totally. Yeah, for sure. I think like it's all about the learning process for me. Like I think like it doesn't have to I think like doing your own research is extremely important. Don't just buy something someone said about oh, this is gonna make you money or whatever. But like I mean, of course, I think everybody started that there because of like when you have a friend who told you they make a certain amount of money or like they kind of gain some sort of benefit from it. But like I think it's really, really important to do your own research and like just learning about it, right? Like downloading an app, using it without spending money is could be fine, right? Like you can browse
Yeah,
it, you can see, compare why someone would buy a certain project over the other one and what's behind it, why the value will increase, why Bitcoin is called like a digital gold. Like, just learning
yeah,
about these things every day can make you ahead of the game than basically everybody else, right? Like because there's so many people who are not doing this yet. So I
yeah.
believe we're still very, very early.
Christine was asking, I cannot really speak as much to this, Grace, if you do know much about the decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, that are part of NFT ownership. They oversee the Mutant Cats NFT community, investment of fish tokens. I feel like it's just like you read these sentences, it's like a new language, right?
Yeah,
Fish tokens. What are we talking about? Collection and other. Do you know much about this? I do not, so I cannot speak to it, Christine.
ownership that oversees mutant cats immunity, fish tokens, other investment. Honestly, I personally am not an expert at this, but I would totally, I think like, so because I'm not really familiar with the mutant cat NFTs. So the DAO so the DAO, like I can quickly explain to everybody what is the general concept of it. So a DAO is essentially you can think of as a group chat with a PayPal. So basically, all the community members can okay, so this is like a really broad explanation, right? Like, I mean, like people could totally argue this is wrong. So essentially, like it's a group of people who are, trying to work behind a particular goal, and then like the money is tied to it. And like this is like general concept of the DAO. But however, I'm personally not a close follower of the mutant cat NFT community, so I don't want to give people some wrong information, since there's just so many projects, so many really cool projects out there, right? But yeah, like that, I think that's the TLDR of this.
Yeah, sorry, Christine. But we'll ask, I'll see any more experts that might know more about them and tag them into the conversation. Grace, if you have any, when we go back in the chat, if there's any people maybe you want to tag into the comments that we think have that expertise, think that would be amazing. All right. Well, we kind of went over, but Grace, this has been such an amazing conversation. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so, so much. Please download, subscribe to Smart Venture Podcast, follow her, and have a great rest of your week. I will be back at the beginning of May with another fantastic guest, Donna Sarkar. She is incredible at Microsoft and a fashion designer. She's awesome. So can't wait for that. Grace, thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your April, y'all. See you soon.
Thank you so much. And yeah, like I think for the mutant cat problem or like question, you can totally come to our chat at 9:30. John and Anthony are definitely expert in the space. I assume they probably know something. So, and then there's like typically hundreds of people will join us, and then someone in our chat group probably knows something about it.
Okay, we'll drop that link in the chat in the stream after.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Grace. Bye, everyone.